All right, let's do this again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the United Airlines NYC Half Expert Training Panel Series. This is actually the finale of a 3-part training panel. So we hope you are ready and excited because the race is in just a few days. This session is being live streamed on New York Roadrunners YouTube page. The recording for the session will go up on Facebook as well as YouTube at, in a few hours, I guess. And just want to let you know that there will be closed captions on the video, but they are auto-generated. So the auto-generation may not pick up every single word we say accurately. So we apologize for that. We do have accessible and gender-neutral restrooms available right behind us around the corner if you need to use them. And if you need an assistive listening device, we do have them available. If you do not request one ahead of time, you can actually see my colleagues to my right at the desk, and they can assist you with that. Just a few more logistical items to cover before we move into the panel. So tonight, we're also happy to share that, once again, we have American Sign Language, or ASL interpreters here with us, making it possible for many of our deaf or hard of hearing folks to participate in this event. Please note that we may need to take very brief pauses so that the ASL interpreters can rotate. As far as the run of show tonight goes, we are going to kick it off with some questions that we prepared for our experts here. Then we'll move into audience Q&A for about the last 15 minutes. So if you have questions in the audience, please hold on to those. We'll also take questions from the audience that's joining us on the live stream. Coach Steve is monitoring that chat for you. My name is Saman Wakad. I am the Diversity, Equity, and Social Responsibility Specialist here at New York Roadrunners. I often say that I'm a wannabe runner. My knees give me issues, but I'm here to ask all those questions that you may not sometimes want to ask. So we do physical descriptions for these panels for folks who might be blind or low vision, whether you're joining in person or on the live stream or watching the video. So I am a South Asian woman. I'm wearing dark, thick-rimmed glasses. I have a dark green headscarf or hijab on. I'm also wearing a navy blue, I guess, fleece and jacket with the New Balance and New York Roadrunners logos on the front in white. And now we are going to move on to the folks that you're actually here to listen to. So to my left is Coach Gemma Ward. Gemma Ward has a passion for running and loves coaching runners of all ages and experience levels. She's dedicated to helping athletes achieve their goals and thrives on sharing her enthusiasm for the sport. From short distances on the track to scenic trails and cross-country events to lively road races, Gemma embraces every aspect of running. A Boston Marathon qualifier and experienced marathoner, she has completed races across the globe using running as a way to explore the world. With each race, she continues to challenge herself and inspires others to do the same. Gemma is pacing the 2-hour group at this year's United Airlines NYC Half.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I am wearing an awesome navy hat, which has the United Airlines NYC Half logo on it. I'm wearing a coach's long sleeve, which has coach written on it. I have very dirty blonde hair, and that's me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Coach Gemma. So since that is navy blue, I don't think what I'm wearing is navy blue. I should really figure out what this blue color is. To Coach Gemma's left, we have Stephanie DiBrita. Stephanie DiBrita is the director of New York Roadrunners International Tour Operator Program, and she's also a part-time group training coach at New York Roadrunners. She has completed the United Airlines NYC Half once before, but she has run over 16 half marathons with a personal best time of 1 hour and 29 minutes. And most recently, she completed the 2024 TCS London Marathon with a time of 3 hours, 19 minutes, and 57 seconds. And actually, she also just ran the 2025 Tokyo Marathon this past Sunday.
I did, yeah.
Awesome.
My name is Stephanie DiBrita. I am a Caucasian woman with, is this working? With long brown hair that is straight. I have a black New Balance United Airlines NYC Half 3/4 zip with the logo written in white, and I have navy blue leggings, and I'm super excited to talk about this race. I love it.
Awesome. Well, we are excited to have both of you here tonight. How many folks have run this race before in the audience, with a show of hands? Okay, so maybe like a quarter. How many folks have run a half marathon before? Okay, maybe like 1/3? Yeah. Okay, exciting times for you in about 10 days. So we're gonna kick it off to before the race, because you need to know what's gonna happen before the race, right? Even starts. So we're gonna kick it off with talking about the experience. Stephanie, we'll start with you. I'm gonna touch on a few points, so it's okay if you don't cover all of them, I'll come back to them. So can you talk to us about the experience? What is the experience?
Yep.
What runners can do there, the bib pickup process, who can pick up bibs, and where it's located, and what is the experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So the experience is our pre-race event where all runners and supporters can go and be a part of the race, whether you're running or you're just supporting a runner. It's open to the public. You can bring your dogs, you can bring babies, everyone is welcome. The experience is at Center 415, which is near Bryant Park. The best way I would recommend getting there is either getting off at 34th or walking over, or going to Bryant Park and walking from there. It's very accessible. The experience will be open on Thursday, Friday, and 30. So I'm saying, so the way I like to get there is getting off at 34th and walking, or going to 42nd and walking. So it's kind of in the middle of both. So that's why I offer two options, depending on where you're coming from. The experience will be open from Thursday, the 13th, and Friday the 14th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with the final bib pickup at 7:30. So that means if you're coming towards the end of the day, be in the building by 7:30. On Saturday, it's open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the final bib pickup at 5:30. So be in the building before then. There is no race day pickup. So if you've done our weekly races before, you know that you can go up and pick up your race bib on race morning. It's nice and casual. We do not have that for the United Airlines NYC half. So you have to come to the experience and pick up your bib. If you can't make it, we can do what's called proxy pickup. So that means that one of your fans, family member, friend, can go to the experience and pick up your bib for you. All they need to do is bring your confirmation card and a government issued ID. It's the same things that you'll need to pick up your bib. In the experience, you'll also have a t-shirt pickup. So once you get your bib, you'll then go get your t-shirt. After that, you'll then walk through to the New Balance store, and then you'll see all of our partner activations throughout the experience. At the New Balance store, you'll have sneakers, t-shirts, shorts, anything that you may need for race day, you have there. We don't recommend anything new on race day. Coach Gemma will talk about that more, but anything that you may need to celebrate after the race, any finisher gear, things like that, you can purchase there. After you go through the New Balance store, you'll then go downstairs to where all of our partners are. So you'll see United Airlines NYC. You'll see United Airlines. You'll see Citizens, Erica Sarah, Knock Around, Fleet Feet. I want to make sure I get everybody. Marathon Photo, Morton. Everyone is going to be there. So if you need any gels, anything like that, all of our partners will be there. After you go through our partners area, you'll then go to the coaching lab where you'll find Coach Gemma, and also our name wall where all the runners that are registered have their names listed. So I know it's a lot, but it's a fun event, and there's a lot of camaraderie. I feel like that's kind of when the event starts. Once you pick up your bib, it's happening. There's no turning back.
There's hopefully no turning back. You actually covered everything I asked, so kudos to you on that. That is actually when it really starts, right? You get excited, you bring your folks along, you can even bring your neighbors along, right? It's open to the public, and you get to do all this fun stuff while picking up the important stuff, your bib and your shirt, which obviously you're gonna wear later because nothing new on race day. So Stephanie, what can runners gain as far as last minute tips and tricks at the experience? I mean, Coach Gemma. I'm looking at Coach Gemma saying Stephanie.
Even though I'll be working in the
My
panel.
apologies.
I think Gemma can answer that.
What can runners gain as far as last minute tips and tricks at the experience? And also, what should runners training look like this week and next week?
Awesome. The experience is so much fun. As Coach Stephanie said, if you do have a dog, please bring your dog as well. On that note, I will pet all of your furry friends. So the Running Lab is a really great place. You can get last minute tips and tricks from the coaches. Our NYRR coaches are going to be out there. So you have questions about how you should tackle race day. They are the people that you can go and ask. There is going to be course strategy. So that's going to be going through the half marathon course mile by mile, what you can expect from that start line all the way to the finish line on the hour. So be there for that. It's really engaging. It's with Coach Steve, Coach Ben, myself, some of our other awesome coaches. So that's going to be really fantastic to help you prepare for race day. We have our pace band. So that is how you can manually track your splits on race day. So if you have a goal time in mind, that's a really good tool that you can use to keep yourself on track race day. We have a huge course map. We have all the information that you are going to need to successfully pace this race in a fantastic way. Your race week mileage and your mileage this week, all the training is done, okay? There's nothing that we can do now mileage-wise that is going to improve that race. If we think, we've missed a few runs, we should go out and run. Let's not do that. Nothing we can do is going to help us. So relax. We're tapering. We're relaxing. We're getting a few hours back. Watch that episode on Netflix. Pet that dog. Relax. Okay. This is it. This is where we want to focus in on our race day approach. What can we do now is taper, eat well, still run. It doesn't mean stop running, but it's not running as much. All of our long runs are done.
Wonderful. I'm sure some folks are going to be happy to hear that they can watch that episode now, right?
Yeah.
They're going to relax a little bit, watch that episode, and get ready for the race that's going to happen in less than 2 weeks. So the United Airlines NYC Half for 2025 is going to see over 27,000 runners this year. And all of those runners, including those of you who are running in person and online, you're going to need to get to the start line, which is in Brooklyn. Now, we know that many folks might be locals or from New York, and you might know how to get there. Some folks might not. They might be coming from around the country and around the world. So, Stephanie, we're going to start with you. What do you recommend is the best way to get there? And tell us about the timeline that runners should follow and how to account for unexpected changes.
Yes, you should always account for the unexpected, especially when taking the subway. So really the infrastructure around Prospect Park is great for the subway. So we recommend taking the 2, 3, or the 4 to Franklin. And also, if you're not doing bag check, which I'll go into in a little bit, you can also take the Q to 7th. The one thing I want to emphasize as you're sitting maybe at home tonight, this week, next week, if you put in how to get to Prospect Park during the week, it's going to offer the B train as an option, but the B does not run on the weekend, so don't get tricked and do not show up to a B train station expecting to get where you want to go on Sunday. So really just want to make that point because especially if you're watching online and from out of town, that's a trick that I think some people may fall into. But just be mindful of any updates from the MTA on race day. If you can't take the subway or just need to get dropped off, please have your Uber, family member, friend drop you off at Eastern and Bedford. That's going to be the best way for cars to drop you off close enough to get to the start area, but also allow enough time, enough space for security. When it comes to when it comes to what time should you arrive, what's most important is looking at your personal information. So there's a lot of information on our website, but our marketing team has done a really good job of taking all that information and creating a really concise graphic. Our graphic on our website is broken into 5 waves, and in that chart, it talks about what time we recommend you get there, what time you should check your bag, what time you should go through security, what time the corral's open. That information is really important. It's extremely accurate. So if you're going to be starting in wave 1 and at 7:20, you really should be paying attention to what time does my corral close? What is the last moment that I can get there? Because I need to beat that. And do I need to check a bag? If so, what time does bag check? So think about what your needs are on race day in order to make sure that you have the best race morning. And I think that covers it. I think that's all race day logistics. There's a lot on race morning. I feel like we plan for 12 weeks of training, and then we sometimes forget about race day, but it is just important as the training.
Yep, because we don't want you stressing out extra on race morning. And I believe this information is available online as well as emails?
Yes, you're going to be getting a lot of communication from us over the next few weeks. Communication about what time that the experience is opening, other activations that we have during the week, but all of our information is broken up on our website by essentially how the week goes. So what's all the pre-race stuff? What time's the experience? Where's the experience? All that, and then we go into race day. So what's pre-race? What's race, the actual race, the course, the finish area. So it's broken down really, really well to have all this information easy to comprehend.
Okay, wonderful. So we have the information available online. It'll be going out to runners via email as well. And then also, any of the pointers that are shared here tonight, and you're like, oh my God, I can't remember this, the video is being recorded and it'll go up on YouTube and Facebook later as well, so you can refer back to it for ease. So, Coach Gemma, as a coach, you tell runners many things, but one of the things you tell runners is don't race before the race. How does getting to the start line on race day affect their overall experience of the race?
Yeah, so as an athlete, as a runner, we're going to want to control what we can control. We can control our alarm clock going off nice and early so that we know we're going to get to that start line nice and prepared. The night before the race, it's going to be really important to have everything that you need laid out, ready to go. So when that alarm clock goes off, whatever time that is, depending on how long your commute in is going to take, you're ready to go in the morning. You can brush your teeth, put your kit on, you're going to be nice and warm, ready to go. It is a little bit too early right now to look at that weather forecast for next weekend, but next week, this time next week, you can kind of start planning that outfit that you were going to lay down, ready to go race day. Take a photograph, put it on Instagram, tag it. We love to see that, but really you want to get to the start line nice and calm, really ready to race. You don't want to be getting there frazzled, rushing through security, trying to push through people. You want to get there with time so that you can get to your starting corral calm and ready to race. You're going to want to find that pacer in your corral if you plan on running with a pacer, so allow yourself a little bit of time to locate them. You're going to want some time for the restrooms. Runners love restrooms, so make sure you allow a lot of time for that. If you have extra time, reline back up because you're running 13.1 miles. This is really going to allow you to have a really positive headspace so that when you get started with that 13.1 mile half marathon, you're cool, you're calm, you're collected, you're ready to race that successfully. You're not getting to that start line stressed, panicked, figuring out where everything is. So make sure you're really ready for race day.
Okay, wonderful. So we've picked up our bibs and race shirts and other stuff that we might have wanted to purchase at the experience. We've made it to the race location, let's say, just right, the start area. Now, before that horn goes off on Washington Ave, runners are going to be settling into their waves and corrals in what we call the start village, right? So, Coach Gemma, going back to you, what do you advise runners to do before the big race?
Yeah, so you're going to want to be comfortable in these starting villages, these corrals. This race tends to be on the cooler side, so having clothes over what you're wearing, throwaway clothes, that's going to really help you stay warm until that horn goes off. You're going to shed those layers in those starting corrals to the volunteers on the side. That's going to be donated to All of Us Clothing, which is great. So it's going to be repurposed. Please put it in the correct spaces. Don't just put it on the ground, but it's going to be collected and donated, which is fantastic. You are going to want to stay warm. That's really important. If you've got stretches, if you've got a warm-up routine, you're going to want to get that in with that time before that starting horn for your wave goes off. You want to also be comfortable and kind of practice what you've done in your training, if that is positive self-talk, if that's eating a little bit extra, if that bagel, whatever you've been eating, if that's talking to a friend, calling a loved one, whatever it is that you've been doing before these long runs, that's going to really help you with that mindset going into race day. We have a quiet zone, so you can make the most of that if you need a little bit of zen on Sunday morning. And then really importantly, listen for the announcements of when that corral is opening, because you're going to want to get there, especially if you're running with a pacer. That's going to really help you get into that corral on time, ready to go. And then also, if you see a volunteer out there, make sure you thank them, because we've got a lot of them out there. We could not put this race on without them.
Thank you. And Stephanie, can you tell us about what amenities are available for runners and what the process will be like of arriving at the start village?
Yeah, Coach Gemma kind of alluded to some of the amenities that we have, but going through security is where you may find yourself being stuck, or so if you're planning to cut it close by getting in right before the corral close, just plan for security. Plan for 27,000 people all doing the same thing that you're doing. So I always like to compare it to like an arena or a stadium. Like if you have an entire Madison Square Garden all trying to get to one place at the same time, be mindful of planning ahead, of getting to where you need to go. Like Coach Gemma said, once you get through security and you're in the start village, highly, highly recommend getting on a bathroom line. There are no bathrooms outside of security because we have all 400 in the start village. So if you need one, get online. If you don't think you need one, get online. That's what I did on Sunday. I went on the line, and then I went into my corral, and I got online again, because what else am I going to do? You might as well just be prepared. But we'll also have water if you don't need to use the restroom to stay hydrated. We also will have a Zen zone, like Coach Gemma said, a sensory zone, which will be a way for you to escape kind of the noise, the chaos that comes from race morning. So it'll be a way for you to kind of hone in if you just need to meditate and get ready for your race. But it is really important that you listen to the start announcements, listen to what's going on. I know some of us like to run with music, but in the start area, it's really important to listen to the volunteers, to thank them, listen to security, listen to the race day announcements. No one wants to be surprised that the race is about to start because they've had music in their ears. So just be aware of what's going on in the start village. Okay, wonderful. And Coach Gemma, going back to you, another thing that you tell runners is nothing new on race day. Actually, I think all of us say it, right? Can you talk to us about what that means and how folks should dress for the race?
Yes, we're going to change that to nothing new on race week, okay? Not all of us here because, we are most likely locals, but if we're coming in from out of town, nothing new food-wise, so try replicate what you would normally eat. You may think that pizza sounds really fantastic because it is, but save that until after the race. You don't know how that's going to affect you race day, so stick to what you know. That includes eating, that includes what you've been hydrating on, including your clothing. So again, I'm saying it's too early to really plan for what to wear next weekend. We're not sure what the weather's going to be. It keeps changing. Could be warm, could be raining, could be snowing. It's been 1,000 different forecasts in the last day. So really plan that closer to the time. But whatever's worked in your training, try replicate that with what the forecast is going to be for next Sunday. If you haven't eaten it, if you haven't worn it, if you haven't tried it, if you haven't tested it, if you know it's not going to work for you, do not wear it, do not eat it, do not try it next Sunday, because if it hasn't worked in your training, I can guarantee it is not going to work for you race day. Celebrate afterwards as well. So if you want to try that pizza, if you want to try anything like that you haven't had if you're not from the city and you don't get that amazing New York slice, have it afterwards. It's amazing, and it looks better with your finisher's medal as well.
Yes, nothing like a cheesy, greasy New York slice of pizza, right? Okay, so now we are at the race. So let's talk about the actual race, because that's why folks are here, even though all that logistical information is very important. So Coach Gemma, we'll start with you. I hope folks know by now that we have a new course this year. Can you talk to us about that change and how runners should approach this race? Also give us a little course preview.
Awesome. I'm so excited for this question and for every single person running this race, because it doesn't matter if you've ran this race 1 time or 10 times, every single person out there next Sunday is going to get a brand new course PR, okay? So PRs for absolutely everyone running next weekend. It's going to be incredible. I love the new course. We're going over the Brooklyn Bridge. It's iconic. It's epic. It is going to be such a fun day. We are starting down in Brooklyn. We're going to be making our way through the beautiful Prospect Park, down Flatbush, taking a left-hand turn on Tillery, a right hand up the Brooklyn Bridge. Take a photograph, really savor that moment. It's going to be epic. I'm going to say that 1,000 times tonight. You are going to be on the FDR for a while. So this is quite an exposed part of the course. So if it's a warmer day, make sure that you have a hat, you have some sun cream, you are protected from those elements. If it's raining, make sure you have something to protect yourself as well. So just really focus on what you're wearing, knowing that it's quite exposed on that section. You're then going to be making a sweeping left-hand turn that's going to take you past that's going to take you up towards Times Square, a right-hand turn through Times Square up to Central Park, through Grand Army Plaza for the second time, and then to that finish line. We finish on an uphill, okay? Remember that, it's not flat at the finish line. So finishing on an uphill, if it feels hard, it's because you've just ran 13.1 miles. This course is going to be really fun. So congratulations already on that course PR.
Yes, everybody's setting it, whether you're running it for the first time or the 10th time. Wonderful. And Coach Stephanie, how can friends and family see their runners along the course, and what amenities are there for runners?
Sure. So there are 8 stations and water, fuel stations about every mile and a half. So our stations will have water and Gatorade, and along the course you'll see, like I just mentioned, medical stations, you'll see lactation stations, entertainment zones. So there's quite a lot on the course. Marathon photo will also be along the course, capturing your race day experience. We do have 2 points that I want to bring up. So we've got fluid on the FDR, so just because you're going to be just yourself and your new best friends running the marathon, we're going to have an 8-station, 2 fluid stations, 2 medical stations, and a more in gel depot with both caffeinated and non-caffeinated gels at mile 8.2. But switching over to now, where can your fan base see you along the course? We have 2 restricted zones this year, one being the FDR, which has always been restricted in the past, but the second being the Brooklyn Bridge. So both the bike path and the walkway will be closed off to supporters. So if you had planned for your fans to see you on the Brooklyn Bridge, come up with a new plan. It's just for safety. So your friends and family can see you in Brooklyn right before you go on the bridge, or on 42nd Street right when you come off the FDR drive. And with that, again, these are really specific points, so that's why I'm trying to be super detailed about it. For the first time, we're going to be having checkpoints to make sure that you get to specific parts of the course by a certain time. So with the new Brooklyn Bridge addition, all runners will have to be at the bridge by 11 a.m., which is approximately mile 4. And then runners will next need to reach the FDR, so get over the bridge by 11:30 a.m. The next checkpoint is going to be at, or excuse me, not the next checkpoint, but one that you should be mindful of is at 12:50, and that's to exit the FDR drive and be on 42nd Street, which is about the 15K or the 9.4 mile mark. Along the FDR, there's 4 checkpoints, mile 6, 7, 8, and 9, that you'll have specific times that you'll need to be over. This is something new that's new to this course. All these details are going to be on our website, so I encourage you to read this, plan ahead, and know what you need to do so that way you can continue your race. But it is something new that we've never done before. But with the change in course, we just need to make some small changes and some alterations. Finally, the last thing that's going to be new. Finally, the last thing that's going to be new about checkpoints is that the finish line will close at 2 p.m. So you need to be across the finish line at 2 p.m. That is when the final finishers will cross the line. I know that's a lot of information. I know I threw out a lot of numbers, but this is all on our website. Again, our marketing team has done a really good job of taking all this logistical information and compacting it into digestible form. So I would encourage you over the next 10 days to check this out.
Yep, I know it's a lot of information, but it's really good to reiterate it in whatever form we can. And folks, as you look through the information, whether that's in emails or on our website or you rewatch this recording, I would suggest that if you have any questions, bring them with you to the experience, right? We have colleagues there who can answer those questions for you and assist you in whatever manner that we can. So you have made your way through this wonderful course where you're going to set your own personal record, right, everyone? So the finish line is something that, whatever race you're running, you're dreaming about it. And in this
Dreaming
case,
of it, yeah.
Dreaming of it, yes. And in this case, folks have been training probably for months. So let's talk about the finish line. And Stephanie, we'll start with you. Can you explain what runners are going to get as they cross that finish line?
Glory. They're going to get glory as soon as you cross the finish line. So you cross the finish line, you're reveling in the success that you've just had, personal course record. First thing you're going to get is your medal. That thing is going to go on your neck from a volunteer. Feel free to hug them. They're always excited. And then the next thing that you're going to experience is marathon photo. They're going to be there capturing photos of the moment. So smile, be happy, be excited. The next thing that you're going to get is your heat sheet. So that's going to help keep you warm. You're probably going to be very sweaty crossing the finish line. And in March, it's kind of cold, so immediately your temperature may drop. Put on that foil heat sheet. Even if you feel hot immediately, keep yourself warm. After that, you're then going to get your recovery bag that's going to have all your post-race needs. And then after that, you're going to continue to walk. So I keep saying and then. This is not a stationary act. You are going to be walking along the drive, heading south towards the exit of Central Park.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. You have got your medals. So Coach Gemma, you have actually finished this race many times, right?
I have.
This is going to be different obviously for everyone, but what's the sort of feeling that runners get when they're crossing that finish line?
Well, apart from that hill on the finish, when you forget about that because you've crossed that finish line, it is honestly amazing. It's epic. You have just ran all the way from Brooklyn, all the way to the most beautiful park in the world, Central Park. You're crossing that finish line. Really raise your hands up, celebrate, high five the people around you. Don't worry about your watch. You don't need to pause that. You don't need to stop that. We have timers that are in your bib, so we will get you an official time. Make your way through, but really celebrate you. You've just ran 13.1 miles. That is absolutely amazing.
Wonderful. So we have our medals, wonderful medals. We have the heat sheets. We have the finisher bags. We're walking. How are we finding our friends and family, Stephanie?
So at the finish line, or once you exit the park, we do have a family, friends and family meetup area. So when you exit right out of the park, it's going to be on Central Park West. You can meet up with your friends and family there. That is also where bag check is going to be. So if you dropped a bag off at Prospect Park, we are transporting it to the finish line for you. So you will get your bag in that area. If you are not checking a bag, I highly recommend that you pick a place like the Run Center to potentially meet up with your friends and family after. It's a place that is a little removed from the busyness of Columbus Circle, even though it's closed down. Again, 28,000 people all having their fans try and meet them at the same time. So pick a place where you can meet up with your friends and family to celebrate. And be mindful that while technology is really great, maybe someone doesn't get their cell phone, or maybe your cell phone gets wet during the water stations. Have a place planned ahead of time, so that way, even if your phone dies, their phone dies, you know where you're going to meet up after. And I will say the walk-off probably takes 10, 15 minutes, would you say? Like once you cross the finish line to exit the park?
It takes a while.
Yeah. I would say it probably takes about 15 minutes or so. So just because you cross the finish line, your friends and family shouldn't expect you to be right there. It's a long walk-off, so just be mindful of that.
Okay, great. So we'll move into audience Q&A in just a couple of minutes. So just want to give you all a heads up for those here in person and also those on the live stream. But before that, I just want to ask both of you for any final piece of advice that you might have for those running the 2025 United Airlines NYC Half.
I think most importantly, really have fun. That's my biggest tip. It doesn't matter how your training's gone. It doesn't matter what the weather is. You have all trained for this. You are all going to be running the same half marathon next week. And so really have fun. Trust your training. Trust the process. You've done all that hard work. Really celebrate yourself. Celebrate the success. You can do hard things, and this is going to be a PR for you because this is a brand new course PR. You were going to crush it next weekend. Just really celebrate yourself.
Yeah, I would, in addition to what Coach Gemma said, I would also say plan ahead and focus on what you can control. So I think you said earlier, you can control what time your alarm clock goes off. You can control that the outfit that you've picked out to wear on race day is not going to chafe, or the pants aren't going to be too big. It's control what you can control. If you wake up on race day and it's 90 degrees, you can't control that. So just be mindful of what you can control, and if you can control it, plan for it. Plan how you're going to pick up your bib, plan on how you're going to get to the start, plan on how you're going to meet up with your fans afterwards. That would be my recommendation, because you don't want to put all this effort in and then your alarm clock doesn't go off. And that's something that could have been avoided.
Set up a list of fans that are going to call you to make sure you wake up. Your family, your friends, your followers online. Okay, folks, so we'll move into, thank you so much for that piece of advice, both of you. We'll move into audience Q&A. Coach Steve has a mic in his hand. So if you have a question, feel free to raise your
dangerous.
hand. Let us know if you've run this race before, you're running it for the first time, if you want to let us know your name, and just try to keep your question a little brief.
We're going up front. Okay, hold on. This is my workout today. We're going way up front, from the back to the front. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Landon. It's my first time running a half marathon ever, so pray for me.
Personal best coming out.
It's going to be a PR for everything.
I've got a question. I know you mentioned no new foods prior, but I'm curious, is there a plan you have for hydration or tips you have for carb loading to make sure your body has enough energy coming up to that day?
Yeah, so focus on eating what you have been eating, drinking what you've been drinking. So if you haven't been drinking Gatorade, I wouldn't recommend drinking Gatorade. If you haven't been training with Morton, I wouldn't recommend training with Morton. And then next week, you're just going to want to focus on eating what's been working for you and increase that carb intake slightly in the days leading up to race day. That doesn't mean that you go and eat entire plates of fettuccine. It's not The Office. Just increase it a little bit. You want to feel full, but not extremely full that you need to lay down and watch 100 episodes of Netflix. You want to feel energized, ready to go on Sunday.
It was a great episode of The Office. by the
Only
way.
one episode per day.
Also, good luck. It's exciting.
Can you just repeat where the experience for the big pickup is, please?
Sure. So it's called Center 415.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, my name's Jarrett. This will be my first time running this half marathon, but my third half marathon in the past 6 months. And I had a question regarding using goos for carbs throughout your run. Since I'm 6'1" and a bit of a bigger runner, I find that the 30 grams estimated per hour doesn't really get me to where I want to be. How do you find adjusting that for runners that you worked with before to make that more personal, since I don't think it's necessarily tailored to a larger body size?
Yeah, so working with a nutritionist is going to be a really great way to help you with that. Registered dietitian is going to be a great, person to talk to. Things that you can do, making sure you're eating enough in the days leading up to it, that's going to be really helpful. Also reading the packet and making sure that you're taking it in that time. I know that I use Morton, it says every 45 minutes. I know that I need slightly more than that. So every single person's going to be slightly different. So using that as a guideline, sounds like you might need a little bit more. Talking to someone's really going to be helpful. They're going to be able to structure a plan, not just for the race, but leading up to it, because it's not just what you eat on race day, it's what you eat race week, it's what you're eating during your training, it's everything that's going to help you be super successful race day.
Okay, thank you.
Kudos to you on running 3 half marathons in 6 months. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Hi, my name is NK. This will be my very first half marathon ever as well. Thank you.
Personal record coming up.
My question is in regards to running next week, because I know you said don't run a long run next week before the half marathon, but do you have a recommended amount of running next week, like a 5K, just to, get loose or something like that?
Yeah, so you're going to want to overall reduce that training. So again, same as the nutrition question, everyone's been running different mileage volumes. So however much mileage you've done, you're going to want to reduce that. Coach Stephanie and myself are going to have very different mileages race week. So don't look at someone else's Strava and think, oh, they've just done this many miles, I'm going to go do that. So you're wanting to reduce it this week and next week. So a significant portion. You want to be moving, but not, doing that long run. So for example, if you were running 6 miles every Tuesday, this week you're going to want to reduce that to about 4. Next week, reduce it down to about 2.5, 3.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question on pacing. For people who are going for a specific goal, specifically I'm going for a sub 2. There's 2 different strategies I've heard. One is find the pacer and hold on for your life, just stay with them. And then the other one is kind of go the negative split route, so you start off slightly slower and then increase throughout the course. What would you say is your advice for that?
Option 1, because I'm pacing 2 hours, so cling on to me. Coach Steve is also pacing 2 hours. 2 very different approaches. Approach number 1, running with a pacer. They're going to be running even effort, so that 9:09, which is a 2-hour pace, the pace is not going to be running 9:09 every single mile. So you have to trust them because they're going to be slightly slower running up a hill, slightly faster running down a hill. They're also going to get you into that finish pan, that finish line, the finish pan, 30 seconds under that 2-hour time frame. So that's going to really help you with that goal. If you're planning on running your own kind of race, you can take a pace band from the Running Lab. It's a great tool that you can use. Negative splitting is great. For everyone that doesn't know, that means finishing the second half slightly faster than the first half. That's going to really help you conserve that energy for later on the race when you need it. But really, most importantly, for every single person in here running, start out more conservatively. You should not be on target pace at that first mile. That means you've gone out too fast. So give yourself some grace and chip away at that time as you make your way through. There's loads of different approaches. There's 5-5-5, which is 5 miles, 5K, and you get progressively faster. There's the 10-mile to 3-mile. There's so many different ways that you can tackle that. So feel free to come and chat to myself or Steve afterwards, and we can help you with the plan. Chat to the coaches next weekend. Negative splitting is great. Running with a pace is obviously amazing. Do that.
And we have the best pacers in the world. Truthfully, I'm not a pacer, so, but I've run with pacers in multiple New York Roadrunner events, and I've always been right where they tell me I'm going to be. So highly recommend if you are unsure about running with a pacer, you should feel confident that they're going to get you to where you need to be.
They will be wearing blue and white striped shirts with a pace stick that has the split time, so 9:09 on one side if they're running a 2-hour, and then 2 hours on the other side. So it's going to correlate to whatever their pace time is.
Any other questions from, we have one more right there.
All right, we'll go online questions after this one.
Hi, this is going to be my first time doing this half, but I've run a half before. Could you go over the vest and hydration, what we're allowed to have on us?
The running vest, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are allowed to have an over the back vest, but you cannot have the water pouch in the back. So in the front of some Camelback brands, they have little pockets in the front. You can put your goose in there, your cell phone, you can keep stuff in there, but you cannot have any water in the back. If you've got small water bottles or a handheld water bottle, you can bring that through. You can hold it in a little pocket, but just nothing in the back water reserve.
Okay, thank you. I think we have some questions online. Coach Steve?
We do. We have a lot of questions. Stephanie, that was a big question online, so thank you for answering that question.
Of course.
It's dinner time. A lot of people think about what to eat for dinner, and it's not about what to eat, but it is what is both of y'all's favorite Italian restaurant to eat in New York City before the race. Starting off with a softball. Or a hard one? I don't know.
I think that's a hard one. There's too many good Italian places in the city. I'm more of a pizza girl. But again, nothing new on race day, nothing new on race night. If you haven't eaten that, please don't go and eat that just because I love pizza. I put chili on it. It's really bad, but I love it. It works for me. Probably wouldn't recommend that for you. So really stick what's worked in your training. I know that's not the question, but I just want to not sway anyone to go eat spicy pizza, even though it's the best.
Don't do that, yeah. But which is ironic because throughout the time I've been training for my marathon in Japan, I had sushi the night before every long run.
With wasabi?
No, not with wasabi.
Wasabi's
but
the best.
You train, you eat what you're going to train with, and when I was there, I had rice and salmon, and it was great. I had a great run. So don't try something new. Don't try sushi if you've never had it. Don't try pizza if you've never had it. Yeah.
To answer the question, Joe's Pizza in the West Village.
I like Rosemary's also in the Village.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
go
not
to the
pizza.
Village
Yeah.
versus go to the Village.
Yeah.
Next question, more serious question. Someone says, I don't feel comfortable in the earlier wave that I'm assigned to. Is it possible to move to a later wave, and how do they do that? They need to email someone, tell someone, how do you move to a later wave, and what's that look like?
So runners can always move back. If you are in wave 1 and you think that is too fast, my training hasn't gone well, I need to step back, you can move back. You can move back to any wave that you want. You just can never move forward. You don't need to tell anyone. You just need to move back on race day. Your chip and your bib will still work, whether you cross the start line in wave 1, wave 2, 3, etc. So just evaluate your fitness and make sure you start in the right spot.
Similar idea, but opposite question. Someone is starting the race in a slow crowd than they would like. So how, as a coach, do we kind of weave around runners? What is like, I want to be in wave 1, but I'm actually in wave 2 or something along those lines?
That's going to help you hold that kind of easier effort in the start. You're going to waste a lot of energy trying to weave around everyone. So get to the front of the corral that you are in. If you were assigned E, get to the front of that, and then really just make the most of where you are, okay? Don't try and make up, any lost time in that first mile because you're just going to get exhausted. You'll be able to make that time up later on in the race. But give the runners around you a little bit of grace as well.
And you're also going to add distance if you're weaving.
Oh, yeah. You're only getting a medal for 13.1 miles. If you end up with 14 miles, you've ran too far. This is not an ultra half marathon.
All right. An athlete online says, they got the flu this past weekend and haven't been able to run, but I am starting to feel better today. Any suggestions on the next 10 days leading up to the race?
Don't try and make up any missed mileage. Just focus on rest, recovery. All your training is done. If any runner out there gets 100% of all of their training, you are amazing. I want to study you. I want to know how you do that because I've never been able to manage that. Missing a few runs when you're unwell, we would advise that. You don't run when you're sick. It's not going to help you. That's going to have long-term negative effects. So you've done the right thing by resting. Take it easy. Focus on hydrating, eating well, controlling what you can control. And you may have to manage your expectations next Sunday, but, still enjoy the race. You've trained for it. And I'm sorry you were unwell. This year has been horrible with flus.
All right, a runner asked a question. Do you have any tips on the water stations? I train with a hydration bladder, which we know Stephanie is not allowed, like you said. So tips on getting to the water stations and maneuvering them because they can be crowded.
So when you are running, I would recommend that if you are going to go to a water station on either side of you, that you put your hand out. So just keep it low. Don't smack someone in the face, but just make a signal that you are going to be changing your course and maneuver over to the water stations. Do not feel like you have to go to the very first table. We have multiple tables set up and go through. Depending on how hot it is, what the weather, it may be worthwhile for you to take the cup of water and have a few steps to walk and drink it, as opposed to trying to run on the go, especially if you haven't trained with running and drinking water at the same time in your hands. It can get a little messy, but that would be my recommendation when it comes to water if you've been training with the bladder, how you can adjust.
I agree with that. Definitely don't go to the first table. That's where everyone goes. Be smart, go to the middle, go to the back. When you get that cup as well, pinch it and take it when you're ready to take it. You will know what I mean by that when you are running next weekend and you have that cup. You've got it. That's a burst of energy. When you're ready to take that sip, that's when you take it. You'll be like, that's when I was ready to take it.
All right, one more online, and then I'll come back in person. Question, Beth says, and Gemma, you did talk about this before, but maybe more in depth. She says, can you talk more about the beginning of the course? I've heard it's very narrow getting in and out of Prospect Park.
Yeah, the first part of the course is very narrow. This is where you're kind of settling into that early pace zone. It is also quite a bit of a decline when you make your way over that starting mat. So again, don't use your elbows, just stay in your lane, pick a side, pick the middle, pick a side, stay to that, and you're gonna keep making your way down. You're then gonna have a little out and back on Flatbush. This is still quite crowded. You're quite crowded for the first few miles. Really plan that into your race day strategy. So you do not need to be on goal pace at that point. If you're running a 2-hour half marathon, you don't need to be on 9:09. You can be 9:20. That's okay. And just really mind your space. If everyone minds their space, minds their place next weekend and their pace, that's going to be really helpful for everyone. If you know that you are in a corral that is potentially faster than what you have been running, it might not be a bad idea to, shift back a little bit. That's going to help you. Keep to one side. That's going to help you. You have rolling hills the entire course as well, and we have a lot of them at the start as we make our way up Battle Pass in Prospect Park.
Thanks, Coach. Do we have any more questions from the audience here? We have a couple here, Coach Steve.
All right, come in. Here I come. Strava segment. Here we go.
Hi, this is my first half. I was wondering, in terms of your racing shoes, how many times do you guys recommend wearing them before you race?
Each shoe is going to be very different in the amount of miles that it has in it. I wouldn't recommend going out now and purchasing new shoes for next weekend, but getting your feet checked by, we have up in the New Balance Run Hub, they can measure your feet, give you a pair of shoes that are perfect for you, and they'll tell you roughly how many miles are on that. You can log the shoe into your Strava, and it will tell you how many miles you've run on that shoe and when it's a good idea to get a new pair of shoes, because you will start feeling that you need a new pair of shoes. We can chat about this after.
I used to write my miles on a shoebox.
Did you actually?
Before I was on Strava, yeah. I used to
Coach
handwrite
Steve,
them all.
I think we have another one up here.
Ooh, I'm coming. Sorry.
Any advice for shin splits?
I would go see our friends at HSS. I would speak to a specialist about that.
Because I bought new sneakers, I've done all of that, but because I've been training, I'm kind of not letting it heal. And now it's kind of, so I don't know if I should keep running this week, running next week, or just laying off.
I would personally try speak to someone, but less is more. It's a great motto.
Especially leading up to race week. Rest won't hurt you. At this point, you've done all the work.
And for any folks who might not be aware, HSS is Hospital for Special Surgery.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the audience here? Otherwise, I'm sure we have.
Yeah, we got a ton.
quite
Hold on. Whoa, hold on.
That was quite a fast segment, Steve.
If you're taking the subway, once you get off, is it obvious which direction to go to?
I'm going to say yes. There's so many if you get off the subway and you don't see anyone, you've got off at the wrong spot.
Yeah, I find that on race week, whether it's a weekly race or one of our marquee races, once you get on the train at a certain time, you start seeing runners and you start seeing bibs and you start saying, okay, I'm headed in the right direction, or okay, this rate, you start building your confidence as you get closer, and as you get closer to the stops, more runners get on there, and you'll just follow the crowd. Be mindful if you're doing bag check and you don't see anyone with bags that maybe you're on the wrong side, but there'll be plenty of other runners all trying to get to the same place as you.
Question about our pace team coach, Gemma. Where do you find them in the corrals? Do you sign up early? Kind of what's the process of actually in the corral?
It's free unless you're running with me, and it's $500. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It's completely free. The paces are in the corrals with big sticks that have the time on it. So at the experience next week, you can have a look in the running lab, and there's a big meter board which has which pacer is going to be in which wave, in which corral, with their name next to it. So look for me, look for Coach Steve, look for Coach Ben. But all of the paces are absolutely amazing. 99% pass rate, which is insane. Yes, we're graded by Coach Steve back there, who always seems to get first. But no, they're absolutely fantastic. You'll find them in the corrals at the start. If you get there nice and early, ask them questions. Ask the pacer how they plan on running the race as well, because the 1 hour 30 pace is going to run a different race than the 3 hour pacer.
Steph, you talked about this earlier, but we still have a lot of confusion in the chat. So maybe clarify, talk about it again. Vest for running, water bladders, front, back, waist belts. What are we doing if we want to carry our water? There's a lot of questions about it, so maybe clarify again. And I will, those in the chat, I'll put the list of things that are not allowed in the chat.
Yes.
So I'll put that now.
So on our website, we have a list of prohibited items. That goes from everything from the obvious things that are prohibited to things like what can I bring into the start with respect to water and hydration. So if you have a reusable water bottle that you run on your long runs, you can bring that in. If you have a plastic water bottle that it's just, you bought it at the store, you can bring that into the start. That's absolutely fine. If you like to run with a running vest, and so that's something that goes over your shoulder, you tie up, and it's on your person. Those usually have a bladder that's in the back, and it's usually got a little spout where you can drink water out of it. Those are allowed, but without the bladder. So you need to take that plastic bladder out and leave it at home. In the front of those vests, there's oftentimes little pockets on either side. Those pockets can fit like a cell phone, some gels. If some people have small water bottles, those can usually fit in there. That you can bring. It needs to be in the front. You can also run with a belt that has little water bottles on it. I've seen them with 4 total, 6 total. Those you can absolutely bring into the course, into the Start Village as well. If you have any questions, like I said, it's on our website, but you can also email our runner services team for clarity, and they'll be able to give you this information written in an email so you have it in perpetuity.
We have a great question from Kayla. She was lucky enough to receive a gift card for a massage. Do we do the massage race week? Do we save it as a celebration afterwards? It's a heated conversation debate in the chat.
She can bring it to me. I'll use
that's
it.
what I took that already, but I said no. When do we do a massage, Coach Gemma? Week of the race, sports massage.
This is a really personal thing. If she's had massages prior, like during her training, then I would say go for it. But again, if you haven't had a massage close to race day, maybe I wouldn't recommend it. But again, call up whoever the massage is through and just ask what they would recommend as well. If it's going to be a deep tissue thing that's going to really help, that might be better for after the race. I would say really call them, but I'll happily take it.
If there's any last question in the audience, otherwise I'll take the last one online. Oh, here we go.
One right here.
Hold on, last Strava segment of the day. Whew.
Sorry if I missed this. Are there restrooms in the corrals?
Yes.
Okay.
There are going to be restrooms. There are only restrooms in the Start Village and in the corrals. There's nothing outside of security.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.
That was a quick one.
There's a lot of restrooms as well. Bring toilet paper. Wave 1, you're good. Wave 5,
That is a pro tip. That's really good. Yeah.
Okay, folks, this has been quite an active Q&A portion. I know you're all excited for the race. It's in about, 11 days, right? It's the 5th today, so anybody know what the race date is? Okay, want to make sure you know what the correct date is. Okay, so we're about 11 days out. We are so excited for you. We're excited to host you, to see you at the experience, at the Start Village, throughout the course, at the finish line. And I'm sure your friends and family and fans, your followers, are excited to see you as well. Best of luck to all of you on your race, whether you're running it for the first time, the 10th time. Remember, it's your personal record from now on. I want to thank our coaches, Coach Gemma and Coach Stephanie, for sharing their expertise with us today. I also want to thank our ASL interpreters for doing such a great job. We're glad to be able to offer this as well for the panel, and Coach Steve for helping run this show. Our colleagues in the back helping to make sure this live stream is going well and that video is going to be up with auto-generated closed captions, as well as my colleagues here to the right who make it very welcoming for us to host these panels at the Run Center. Have a good and safe commute home or wherever you're headed to, and we will see you in 11 days, folks. Have a great night.
Have a good night.